Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the Scituate Planning Board Thursday, January 22nd, 2026 Planning Board hearing being held here in the Select Board hearing room. We have a posted agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? First is a 6:30 continued public hearing. Andrew, what's something to read?
I move to accept the applicant's request to continue the public hearing for the special permit for the South River Marina Development in the Hummerock Village Residential Overlay District with 21 Central Avenue and 7 Marshville Avenue for applicants South River Marina Realty LLC and Union Street Realty LLC until February 26, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Continue the time for adding until May 29, 2026.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor? Okay. Next.
Yes.
Public meeting, Form A, an A&R plan for Henry Lane, assessors parcel 51-2-26. Good evening.
So Jeff DeLisi with Armberger, DeLisi and Harris. I'm here with the owner of the property, Paul Marabito. I think everyone knows Paul. And then behind Paul are Jason Scott and Greg Morris from Morris Engineering. I don't know how much in depth you want me to go into the legalities of this. I'm more than happy to do it. It is a little different than typical A&R plans that you see come before you.
I had to watch the zoning meet 3 times.
The what meeting?
I watched the zoning meet 3
Okay.
times.
But the legalities of this are a little different than that. So, so anyway, anybody who desires to divide land in the Commonwealth pursuant to subject control law can come in under Mass General Law section 4181P. That's the Form A law that you guys deal with. And what it basically says is somebody desires to divide property, they can submit a plan, and if the plan does not show a subdivision, the planning board shall endorse it. That brings you to the word subdivision, which is defined in Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 81L. And it basically says that there are 2 avenues under the definition of the word subdivision where a tract of land can be divided and not constitute a subdivision. One is if it creates 2 or more lots which have frontage on a street, a private road, or a way in existence prior to subject control which the planning board determines to be adequate. And the other way, which is what we're coming on now under, is a division of land on which a building, each lot contains a building that was standing at the time of the adoption of the subject control in the town. And in that circumstance, frontage is not required. So in this particular case, Paul owns property, beautiful property, kind of near the Scituate Bank Marine Sanctuary off of Henry Lane, which is fed by Sunset Road off of Everett. And on this property, there are 3 smaller homes that are elevated on the piles. Paul's owned them since, I believe, the 80s, Paul?
What?
How long have you owned the property? Since the 80s?
August of '84.
Yeah. So each property contains a dwelling. So so Paul has recently retired, wants to retain one of these for his family, the one in the middle, and would like to sell the other 2 to help him in retirement. And he's been so he hired Morris Engineering to prepare the plan that's in front of you. And each lot, this tract of land actually consists of both registered and unregistered parcels. The land was all unregistered until 1953 when it was first registered. So what we have to do is establish that there's a building on each lot now which existed prior to August 3rd, 1947, which is when the planning board, I think, determined that it adopted the subject control in the town of Scituate. So, initially, we filed, the plan without any information as to whether buildings were standing at the time of subject control. And then I went ahead and provided Karen, at her request, with a few maps that I found over in the town archives, which I believe show these buildings, one of which is a reproduction of a Mass GIS map that the Department of Interior did, and I have the actual full-size one, and you can see it, I think, probably a little more clearly. You can see the buildings out there. But Karen inquired more of me, which caused me to do a little more research, and I went back before the land registration, and what I found before the land registration was in 1941, a plan was reported at the Registry of Deeds, which actually showed this property and shows the 3 buildings that are there now on it. And I filed that, that's not the plan, Patty, that you have the Langford plan, and I filed it, and I tried to box in with the red marker where those were. I then looked at the registration plan from 1953 and 1960, and you can see the same buildings were still there in 53 and 60. So I sent all that information over to Morse Engineering and asked them if those are in the same locations as the buildings today. And you got a stamped letter, which I provided to the board, which indicates that they are. So that's pretty much it. We think that we've demonstrated what we need to demonstrate, and I'm sorry for being so long-winded. It's just that this is a bit of a different type of A&R than I think what this board is used to seeing. And I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you. I can answer any questions.
Sure. Right, so I distributed to you all the information that was submitted. I also did my own digging and submitted to you some information. I submitted to you the assessor's information that I have the assessor dig up. The assessor's information shows that 2 summer cottages existed in 1930 on the two N ones, A and C, and that the duplex in the middle existed in 1950. The assessors doesn't have it before 1950. So based on the assessor's information, I don't think all 3 buildings were there prior to August 3rd, 1947. Therefore, I don't think they're entitled to 3 lots, so I don't think the board can endorse the plan as shown. I think you could endorse for 2 lots, but that's not what's shown on the plan. I think that the maps, while they're very nice, it's a little inconclusive as to actually where the blocks on the maps are.
May I? Sure. I remember, because I have been observing the planning board, when you were chairman of the planning board, Mr. Maravito, long time ago. And I remember when you came in, that, whatever that was, late 80s, whatever, and for 2 small cottages to summer in. And that's all that was there, 2 cottages. And I don't think that the planning board at the time did a Form A or any of that.
There was, I looked in our files, there was also a perimeter plan that was filed in 94. And that was filed prior to Title V
Right.
changing.
Everybody
That
did.
was 94.
But, and so that's that. As far as I went down and took a look, and I don't understand where that duplex came from. I mean, that's two houses.
Duplex.
It's a duplex. And then you have a house here, was a cottage, that's now elevated, and then over here, you have another cottage that's now elevated. And are they on septic? And not that it mattered. Where are the utilities? Where's anything? I mean, I don't see, other than summary in this, that we could do anything with this.
Just, I agree, I find it very inconclusive on any of the maps that were provided to us, that there were 3 houses, including a
No,
duplex.
wait a minute,
Excuse me.
let's just, the
The
planning
language.
board has to find that there were buildings, structures, that's, it's, the section 610 of the zoning bylaw is a little different
Yeah.
in that the building commissioner needs to find that they were dwellings.
Yeah, okay.
You have to find that there were buildings.
I can't find on any map that there were 3, never mind 4 buildings there.
So let me walk you through it, Patty, because the maps I think are very clear. So this here is the map dated 1937. And it was recorded at the Registry of Deeds in 1941. It's the same plan that I provided to you, which had the red box, okay? I, just to orient myself, threw in what I think is the location of Henry Lane. But the three houses are right here, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. On the beach, in the location where they are today. This was a survey that was done for a gentleman named McDonald, who was the owner of the property at the time. And so we see 3 buildings here in 1937, fairly conclusive. When I found the land court plans,
Right,
It-
we have that.
you do, yeah.
I gave you everything that, I mean,
So as part of this letter that I submitted, dated January 15th,
no, I didn't make copies.
I made copies and handed you copies.
All right, then I put them in your folders.
So this letter, attached to the letter, I didn't just provide the letter, I provided Morse Engineering's letter, flip the page behind that. That's this plan here that I just showed you, but I had a box around it, I don't know who
Right
printed this out. Yeah, there you go. You can see the 3 houses right there.
Look at what he provided.
No, that's different than what I'm talking about now.
All right, here's the other letter that he provided. Here's the original letter that he provided.
Yeah,
But the
That must
structure,
not be mine. Let me look at yours.
when I looked at this,
How is that?
when I went down there, they were all within shouting distance of one another, and that the structure that's on the far right was closer to the one in the middle.
so when you go, Ann, the registered land parcel. Okay, just until there's, I'll wait until they're done.
We just.
That's all right, yep.
Considering all the street names changed, it's kind of confusing to me. I had to go back over, we have like no.
I know, yeah, which is why I asked Morse Engineering to verify the location.
I mean, we've got a cow path here,
I know.
seriously.
It's a really interesting plan because it measures to, like, say, Barker Chimney,
Yeah.
to orient itself, and,
Well, that's how they did the water pipes, too.
yes.
6 feet from the last tree.
Okay,
Why you can't find anything?
that's why people like putting wood walls.
They're the same buildings.
Yeah.
Before and after on both the registration plan and the recorded plan.
The duplex is recorded on that plan,
The duplex is shown there
where?
on the plan, so you have 3 buildings, 1, 2, 3, and then you flip. I'm sorry, I'm a little. This was the first registration plan, A plan. All of the buildings that are on the property right now are on the registered parcel. And the registration parcel that's referenced in Paul's deed is actually the C plan, which is the next sheet in. and it's the same building, but just magnified on the lot that Paul owns. Those are the three buildings that were there in 53, in 37, recorded in 41, and in 60, when the land was registered that is now a lot, which is Paul's.
How big is this lot?
Jason? The registration lot or the,
All of it?
Or two parcels.
It really almost doesn't matter
All right.
how big the lot is, because that's not the provision
No.
that they're going under. The provision that they're going under is this 81L provision, where two or more, a building was standing on each lot prior to the effective date of the subdivision control law.
that's
So
all,
if
that's
you
all we have to
believe-
demonstrate.
If you believe that this plan is correct, then you have to endorse. I've written you two motions.
know.
An approval and a denial. I question why the assessors doesn't have that same data and that stuff.
Where is the data that you provided? I didn't receive it. Can I take a look at it just to see? Yeah.
I don't have to provide it to you,
Well,
but yes, I can, I'll
Of
show
course
you, I can show you what the assessor provided me.
Why wouldn't you provide it?
Well, you didn't ask, you don't have.
Everybody, no.
So I provided them with the effective date of the subdivision control law.
Okay.
I provided them with the 48 USGS, which I think is inconclusive as well. And I provided them with a series of the assessor's data,
Mhm.
which goes back to, I got all the original cards from,
Yeah.
from back
Right here.
then. And, it says 1930.
Yeah, but that's not the age of the card. That's a reproduction of the card over time.
This is what I was assured was the date,
Okay.
okay? Then I have the duplex.
The date,
It's
you're saying this
1950.
card, you're saying this card was 1930 card?
Yes, this is what they have backup cards that they used to keep the data on.
All that
This
says
one
is the age of the house.
Is, right, so 1930.
Okay.
So this is, and he gave me these ones from when,
From when, what? What's the date on that?
when, of course, Mr.
94.
Mirabito bought it in 94,
Right.
not 84. And so he has given me all that data.
Okay.
That's the data that
All
I
right,
obtained.
so I have given you a land court plan from 1950, 3 years after the adoption of subdivision control that depicts three buildings on the property. And I've given you a recorded plan that was recorded in 1941 that depicts the same buildings on the property before subdivision control. And I've given you a stamped letter from Morse Engineering certifying that those are the same buildings, locations of where they are now, exclusive of additions that have occurred over time. And you can even match up the buildings on the land court plan and the recorded plan, and you can tell they're the exact same buildings. In addition to that, I also provided data from the tax assessor as well. I went into the archives and took the data from the year 1947, which was assessed on December 31st, 1946. And it indicates that there were four buildings on the property at the time. So if you were to deny, I don't know how you could not trust a land court plan that shows the same thing that was there prior to subdivision control.
So
And at the zoning hearing, there was testimony, since you watched it a few times, Patricia, from a person in the neighborhood who said that the buildings were actually knocked off the foundations in a storm in like the 1930s and floated across to this location. Very specific information.
can I ask you, are these are legal documents, correct?
I have no idea what they are. Those are hearsay documents because I've seen these documents. I've been to court with these documents. They get added to over time. And they're hearsay, they're not necessarily based on personal knowledge. I actually had the tax assessor go into the land court and testify, and the land court found them to be unreliable. Those very documents that you have in your hands.
I mean, all else is right here, lovely handwriting, it says summer cottage use only.
What does it say?
Summer cottage use only.
Yeah, but that's,
I'm just
you
saying.
don't know what that means, and that's use, right? In the letter I provided you dated January 15th, one of the documents towards the end is the tax assessor evaluation dated 1946. Property owned by James McDonald. House, garage, bungalow, building, all on this lot. How do you deny that?
You have to go to the place to look at it. I
Here.
think to say it's.
Where is the plan for the place?
Yeah,
I don't have that.
actually, no, I don't have these pictures.
And I have a blown up version of that, Steve. Which is here, this is the same.
These look in better shape today than they do there.
So if the board believes that there were 3 dwellings there, then you have to.
No, 3
endorse.
buildings.
3 buildings. 3 buildings, then you need to endorse.
This is it. When was it registered, you said?
1953 was the first registration plan, the A plan. The C plan was like 1960 or thereabouts, which was the same buildings as the 1953 plan.
And this is the same one.
Yeah, he just, it wrote it.
Because of how.
So I would, I mean.
For what it's worth, I also have the actual scale command as USGIS. Which I'll get to you. Here it is.
This
What's this? What's eight percent?
this.
And I thought they call it ABC.
Where's D?
Okay.
Oh, my
So,
God.
Here's the thing, it's.
I had to ask a lot about it like that.
This is the USGIS
Yeah,
map.
I've seen this.
And it's dated 40, right before subdivision control, months before, a few months. And you could see right here, there was actually a road along the beach. You can see it on the plan that we're recording in 41, and it ran between the buildings and the actual beach. And you can see it depicted on this plan also.
The water, yep.
All right.
So can you,
Yeah, this is.
can you point them out here?
Sure.
So this is the pre-1950.
This plan was recorded in 1941 and it's dated 1937. Right.
Pre-1947.
Pre-1947.
Okay. So the lot lines that we're seeing with these 3, where is that tie?
So, that's why I had Morse Engineering analyze that, because the lot lines obviously changed since that time frame. And I wanted to make sure that those locations of these buildings are in the same location of the existing buildings today, absent additions that occurred over time. And you have a letter to that effect from Morse Engineering. But these 3 buildings here.
So the letter to that effect is basically picking up the same distances that are shown here.
I don't know.
152 feet.
Jason, you gotta answer that question. But you can see the same exact buildings on the C plan, which is Paul's property. Paul's deed references that he owns that lot. So the C plan lot
So this building, so we're saying basically this building is that hill. This building.
Because we then we turn.
So this building is this. Okay. And that is in the same, this 152 feet is the same dimension from the same benchmark, basically.
Yeah.
Where is that? Is it up from here? Or is it, where's the starting point for this?
This one here. Of that, maybe.
This corner right here?
Yeah.
Where?
Right here. That's where.
And that's on this line?
Yeah.
Okay. But that's not the lot line, it's just
That's not
the
the lot line,
dimension of
right.
this building is what that is right there.
It looks like there was an old one of those.
It's 406 feet. Where is? That one.
I was thinking it's two.
4, 9,
Okay.
yeah, this is actually 95 less, here you go.
Sorry.
That's title one.
You know what?
So this is the dimension here, not this.
Correct, that's okay, 291, that's
Okay.
295 plus.
Okay, so that establishes this building here, right, that has to be this window. And then we measure these up from the same point.
Well, this was, I think this was an addition over time, this building.
Oh, there's a building here.
Yeah, but it's large, and it's the same configuration of that, but it was added to.
No, I get that, I'm
Yeah.
just saying it's sort of this is the same location relative to that, so,
Right, that one will bump over here.
yeah.
With that.
And that's in the, so that's in, from this point, that's the same
Right.
location, but from this point, that's the same location.
Do you have any questions?
No, it's when you look at it now, because the land has shrunk so much, yeah.
It is.
The land here.
So Chair Lambert, for the purpose of the minutes, will you just clarifying dimensions of lot, dimensions of building?
We were just comparing dimensions of lots,
Yeah.
because
Okay, thank
that is. a little
Dimensions
hard
to the buildings that have been
buildings.
established as being, having been there since 1941, whatever.
Thanks.
Basically.
And this jog in the property too,
I'm sorry?
go along that it was up and.
Yeah, there is a jog, yeah.
Where's the,
You were kind of looking at it when you were asking basic questions. Let me explain. So, looking at the site plan that was filed with you. Okay. There's a dash line right here, which is a Z line, goes like this, and it actually goes like that. That, everything below it is unregistered land. And everything above it is registered. So fortunately, in this circumstance, all of the dwellings that are shown on this are actually depicted within the land court plan, which the first A plan which shows them is 1953. And my point is that those are the same buildings that are shown in the plan from the recorded in 1941.
Where's building D? There is no
I
building
have
D?
no idea, what building D is, according to this plan, over here, the most easterly building, or northeasterly building.
Part of the cottages.
Yeah, that's one of the cottages. There are 4 dwelling units present, one of which is a duplex
So I think that's.
that is connected by a
Porch.
porch, covered porch.
So
Well,
now
this
there's
is
only 3
60,
buildings.
right?
Oh, I'm sorry,
23C.
yeah, I don't know what the assessor information is presently compared to what it was then. And I knew that when I wrote my letter, because I looked at it, but as I stand here, I don't know what building numbers are what.
I think A is one on the end and C is one on the end,
So,
and the duplex is B and D.
Yeah.
In terms of, the 4 quote units.
yes,
B and D.
Yeah, we don't know how to do that, I mean,
yeah,
I
think
suspect
both A, B, C,
that
D.
it was added afterwards,
Yeah.
but what you have to find is you have to find that one such building existed on each and remains on each lot. That's what you have to find if you are going to endorse this plan.
And what we're saying is these three buildings did exist at 41, existed at 53, whatever.
And 60
So
is present.
So those buildings existed. And we're saying that the property that we're dividing now encompasses all three of those buildings,
Correct.
right?
It's exactly
So
what the
to the
letter
extent that
says.
they split it up into 3 lots with a building on each, that's what we need, right?
And what will the frontage be on each of these lots?
I'm sorry?
What will the frontage be on each of these?
It doesn't
Well,
matter.
yeah,
That's not
Because
what,
it's
that's not what this provision of the
Pre-zoning, right?
of the bylaw says. So if you believe that the buildings, one building exists on each lot, then you need to endorse. If you don't, you need to go with the other motion. You have both motions.
Right here.
Well, I would say, given these maps, assuming they are, correct and accurate, and I don't have any reason to project otherwise, that it's pretty clear they all three existed before zoning. I don't know what I don't know what information would tell us that they did, I guess.
Do we have anybody in the audience that would like to speak to this?
And just to jump, before you do that, I believe that the assessor data that I pulled dated 1946, actually clearly dated from the old book in 1946, is more accurate than the reproduced over a period of time added to with notes by people that we can't even ask presently. Much better, more reliable than the information Karen pulled and gave you. And so we have the assessor data to back up the plan data.
Do we have any building permits for when these structures, such as they are, were put up on pilings?
No, good luck trying to find building permits from the 30s.
That's not
That's not the point, all
That's
right.
not the point.
Okay.
I mean, it's a good question, but that's not the point of what you're here to discuss.
And we do know that Mr. Marabito had put them up on filings. I do know that was on. FEMA came in and raised them.
I agree with what Steve is saying. To me, it appears that there were 3 buildings as of the drawing of this map, which was 1937 and recorded in 1941. That's what I look at. I mean,
Anybody in the audience or anybody online?
Ms. Lambert, you have no virtual hands raised.
Okay.
So you have an approval motion, if that's the way you wanna go, you have an approval motion.
Ms. Lewis?
I would say that I would approve it.
Mr. Pritchard?
Yeah, I don't see any. This seems like the hardest, clearest set of facts here. So I would say that this would be like it existed pre.
Everybody? All right, second.
Move to endorse as approval not required, deeding of land in Scituate, Mass. 23A through C, Henry Lane, assessors parcels 51-3-26, Scituate, Mass. Prepared by Morse Engineering Company, Inc. and stamped by Jason Scott, registered professional land surveyor, for applicant, owner Paul Maravito, trustee of BCN Realty Trust, dated November 13th, 2025. Revised December 18th, 2025, as the division of tract of land shown is not a subdivision because 2 or more structures were standing on the property prior to the date the subdivision control law went into effect in the town of Scituate, and one of such buildings remains standing on each of the proposed lots.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I'm wondering if, thank you very much. I know it was confusing. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to explain. Is it possible that you can endorse this evening because we have a deadline we have to deal with the land court?
Right? We usually endorse them after review.
After you.
Okay, so I can pick it up tomorrow.
Yeah, please call ahead.
It's
Sure.
all right out back there,
I mean, it has to be endorsed on the days, right, so.
Everything else we got?
Then I'll sign it tonight.
You will sign.
Yeah.
We can move to the building.
You go, you got
Okay, next we have a site plan review for accessory dwelling unit, on 15 Warden Road. Who was here to talk about that? Come on up, please. I was born by, I don't remember where I got to be. Oh, that was, thank you, my class.
You can sit at the table right there.
Sit right there.
Oh, okay.
Please state your name and address, everybody, if you'd like to do it, 15 Warden Road.
Margaret Major, 15 Border Road. We're looking to put in a ADU on the ground floor.
It's your,
Usually the applicant gives a little bit more information,
Oh.
like the size of the ADU, et
Okay.
cetera.
yeah, so I need to know, yeah, like,
It's under 700 square feet, single dwelling, one bedroom, one bathroom.
we'd like to know,
630 square feet.
Okay,
but we need to know, how you access and exit.
there'll be two agreements.
That does not go into your main home.
No,
And
two sets,
Two separate, okay. And it meets all the building codes,
All the
the
building-
firewalls. and
the
all that
firewall,
stuff that Mr. Vogel was concerned about.
Mr. Vogel did write a comment that it, the note on the plan is sufficient.
Okay.
You also condition it that it has to meet the building code, et cetera, so that they, they're gonna need a building permit to do some of this finish work. So if it doesn't meet the building code with access or the fire rating, then they don't get the building permit.
So you work closely with Mr. Vogel and we will help you do that, but there are very specific issues in the building code that you must abide by.
Yes.
Or there will not be a certificate of occupancy, which negates why you're there. Anybody? Do you have plenty of parking? So we have the parking now. We
Well,
will buy your home today.
there will be a driveway. There'll be a driveway separate.
Is it a separate curb cut up the street?
No,
One big driveway,
yeah,
with room for 3 cars.
Yes, we're good. We can go right. To see us driving around, we look at all the ADUs before they come to us. So they're people shots a lot.
It's a separate sewer connection.
no,
No.
it's using the same.
It's in the house.
It's in the house, so they're allowed to use the same sewer connection and same water connection. Just detached or have a different requirement, as they do with a single family dwelling. It meets the requirements of the bylaw, so I would recommend that the board approve it.
Any questions? Anybody in the audience? Anybody online? No.
Ms. Lambert, you have no virtual hands raised.
Thank you.
I move to make the following findings of fact. 1, on January 6, 2026, Dana and Margaret Major applied for an accessory dwelling unit ADU site plan administrative review for an ADU within an existing principal dwelling of the property at 15 Borden Road. 2, according to the deed, the property at 15 Borden Road is owned by Dana and Margaret Major. Both owners signed the application for site plan administrative review for the ADU. 3, based on a floor plan submitted by the applicant, the floor area of the proposed detached ADU will be approximately 630 square feet. The principal dwelling is 3,722 square feet, according to the architect's CAD plans, with area calculated from the inside of the exterior wall dimension. The basement area currently is finished and will be converted to the 630 square foot ADU. Thus, the size of the principal dwelling will be reduced in size from 3,722 square feet to 3,092 square feet. This meets the size requirements of 530.1A of the zoning bylaw for ADUs, as the bylaw allows 50% of the gross floor area of the principal dwelling or 900 square feet, whichever is smaller. 4, the ADU will be a complete separate housekeeping unit, and there will only be one accessory dwelling unit on the lot. 5, the ADU is subordinate to the existing single-family home. 6, the property is in the residential R3 zoning district on a lot of 7,717 square feet. 7, the proposed ADU will have access through 2 doors, one from the living area of the ADU and one through the bedroom to the vestibule of the house, which has access to the outdoors. 8, at least one private off-street parking space is provided for the ADU, as the ADU is located more than 0.5 miles from a commuter rail station, ferry terminal, or bus station. 9, the ADU will be serviced by town water and town sewer. DPW requirements for water and sewer connections will be met. The application, this is 10, meets the standards of the Scituate zoning bylaw for an ADU.
I have a question. Could you go back to talk about
Do you need to second the
Say-
discussion?
hello,
Second, are we for
for
discussion?
discussion?
All right,
We have an access to the vestibule of the main home.
yes.
It goes to the garage, and there would be a door locking it from
Yeah,
the
it
garage.
has, there's the house, then there's a vestibule, then it goes out there, then there's
Oh, I see.
another door,
Okay.
in the ADU, so it goes straight out, so it's a legal,
Yeah,
it's a legal,
It doesn't go through her home.
legal
No.
access, no, it goes right to the outdoor,
Okay.
it's a legal access.
Yes, Mr. Joker.
Just got one quick question, that's all. Did I hear you say detached?
No.
No.
I mean, if I heard detached on one of those conditions.
ADU within, ADU within an interior, within a primary dwelling.
Yeah, right there. I didn't say detached.
You did say absolutely.
It does say that.
Yeah.
It does say, number 3, based on a
You
floor
didn't
plan,
misspeak.
the floor area of the
I'm sorry,
It's
I
already
made
got
a mistake.
Oh, my
Karen,
God.
Karen already has it.
The proposed ADU will be approximately.
Yes.
Do I have a second as amended?
As amended.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. Vote for the.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to approve the site plan administrative review of an ADU at 15 Gordon Road with the following conditions. 1, except for any changes necessary to meet these conditions, any construction shall substantially conform to architectural plans by Designs by Marshall LLC, major residence, 15 Gordon Road, Scituate, Mass. 02066, dated 12/5/2025, consisting of the following sheets. A1, proposed ground floor plan, D1, demo ground floor plan, E1, existing ground floor plan, E2, existing floor, first floor plan, E3, existing second floor plan, building location plan, town of Scituate, Massachusetts, showing existing dwelling and the new ADU parking for 15 Borden Road by Stenbeck and Taylor, Inc., dated July 2004, with revisions through 12/15/25. 2, the ADU cannot be used for a short-term rental unit as defined in the zoning bylaw. A restrictive covenant shall be recorded against the property to that effect prior to any occupancy permit for the accessory dwelling unit. The covenant shall run to the town and be enforceable by the town through an injunctive relief, and with the property owner required to pay the town's reasonable legal fees and costs for successful enforcement of any violation of the restrictive covenant. 3, no further expansion of the ADU floor area is allowed without further review by the planning board. 4, the owner is not required to live in either the principal or accessory dwelling unit. The owner shall own both the principal and the ADU. 5, all requirements of the Board of Health, Building Department, Zoning Board of Appeals, Department of Public Works, Fire Department, Conservation Commission, and other town agencies must be met prior to occupancy of the ADU. 6, the ADU shall conform to all applicable standards in the building, plumbing, electrical, mechanical, fire, and health codes and bylaws. 7, water and sewer connection must meet all requirements of the DPW Water Division and DPW Sewer Division for the ADU dwelling. 8, any lighting installed shall be down lighting, do not shed light on abutting properties. 9, construction work shall not begin prior to 7 a.m. weekdays and 8 a.m. on Saturdays, and shall cease no later than 7 p.m. or sunset, whichever is earlier. No construction shall take place on Sundays or on legal state and federal holidays. Construction includes the idling of vehicles, delivery of materials to the site, and other construction activities. No parking of any vehicles shall occur on the public way. 10, runoff from the proposed ADU shall not be increased from the property. 11, erosion and sedimentation control devices shall be installed to prevent any erosion or sedimentation from leaving the site during construction. Silt blocks shall be used as necessary along with a stabilized construction entrance. 12, the decision must be recorded at the Registry of Deeds prior to a building permit being issued.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, so I have 14 days in which to file this decision with the town clerk, and then you'll get your copy. And
Okay,
then you have a 20-day appeal period.
okay, thank you.
Now, not too late. The continued public hearing for the zoning bylaw change. So, I'm going to address what issue I'm going to 620.4.
620.4D is the only thing we continued the public hearing on.
620.4. A, B, C.
So what you asked me to do was to talk over with the building commissioner this paragraph, and you asked to put a provision for a clause for, to extend the time when this would be made effective. So I put in that the provision of section B shall not apply to any building permit received before April 15th, 2026. The date that we had talked about last time. I discussed the rest of it with the building commissioner. We think that it should stay as it stands. There's been talk about potentially asking for, halfway into the setback area that decks could be placed. Well, halfway into the setback area, you have a front setback, a side setback, and a rear setback. So that could be quite substantial. And so the building commissioner thought we should just keep it as it is right now, only 18 inches into the setback, same as cornices and eaves. So this is the language that I sent to all of you.
I'm sorry, where's the language on April?
It's
What section?
it's only a one pager. 620.4. It's on the back of it. Yes, do you want my copy?
Oh, here it is, I'm sorry.
Any discussion?
Says shall not apply to any building permit application or building permit received, meaning building permit issued.
Right,
This is what we talked about.
that's what
This
the
is
top.
exactly what we talked about.
We're not able to see, right? I'm just thinking it should say issued by the building department or whatever.
they're the
before
only
April
people,
15th.
they're the only people who issue a building
Yeah,
permit.
well,
So I
then-
can say change.
So rather than receive, just say issue.
Issue.
One of the things that they brought up, sometimes they like, say, put in the building permit, and they not be issued by the road just because they're busy, I would say April 15th, they're gonna be busy.
I disagree because
We need to have a date.
you have.
Well, they would have had to submit it as well before April
Say
15th.
apply for.
Yeah, right.
Could say applied for, Bob.
No,
No,
Good,
it says received.
but I could say applied for.
Well, I would not recommend you say applied for, because we have a number of people who apply for building permits just kind of like a placeholder, and they don't submit all the information. And some of the building permits are over 6 months old.
That's an issue.
So that's why the building commissioner and I thought it would be best issue.
Issue, that gets the right word.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he has 30 days to issue a building permit. And if he chooses not to issue the building permit, these people are out. Doesn't work.
He has 30 days to issue it from a completed application. If your application is not complete, then it's not gonna be issued.
So it'll be denied, right?
Yeah.
So you can absolutely say that if you apply for the permit, he can deny the permit if it's not done. So it's not a valid application. Really simple. Should say applied. I mean, Bob could get one of these with a week to go and.
Has he been recognized, I'm sorry,
Speak
was
to
he
it.
recognized?
Yeah, stop, Mr. Becker.
Oh, it says received.
Right. Then which you guys wanna change to issue.
Oh, I don't want to.
Okay.
Is it received the same as issue?
No, no,
What does received mean? Received by
Yeah.
whom?
Everybody to the office.
complete application.
So this is intended to say the application has been received
yes,
by the building department. Is that what you intended?
No, issue.
Issued, that's what I'm saying.
A building
That's what you
permit
intended.
received if you get the building permit.
Yeah, it's been issued by the department, right?
before April
Oh,
15th.
you mean the person receives it back? not
Right, the
the-
person,
Yeah.
the person,
That's why I was changing
the
the word to
person gets
okay.
the building permit.
So we leave issue?
I would-
Good.
Of Steve. It's the wrong move. That's all I can tell you. It's the wrong move.
I think what they're
Well, it's better than it
Bob
was.
could take 30
So
days to say you
put
didn't
the
meet the
baby-
date. Sorry,
and I
done.
say we let go that way.
The discussion last time, which you weren't here for, was that, people felt it wasn't fair. It's technically the date that the legal advertisement goes into the paper.
Right.
But people complained about that, so you gave them some additional time and put this provision in there with the thinking that town meeting might go 2 nights, so therefore you put it after the second night when things would hopefully have been voted. And so that's what you talked about last time.
It's never gonna be fair to somebody, right? So we're
That's
just
correct.
picking that date.
And we went over this with the building commissioner. Yes, sir.
First of all, I apologize for not being at the last meeting. I was actually on the computer and I was trying to get unmuted, which I couldn't do, so I screamed at this the whole night long during the public hearing.
That doesn't work.
And I was texting Mr. Morse, who was here, and I was texting Terry Johnson to try to get some things into that meeting, so I apologize for that. Don't know why I couldn't raise my hand on this, but that means that they have to have applied for the permit by March 15th, or the building inspector can choose not to issue it for 30 days. It's not right. It just should be, they apply for it by that time, so the pressure is not on Bob to get the permit issued. Because everyone's gonna come in that month and say, wait a minute, this is the last day, I need my permit today. And Bob's gonna be like, I can't, I got 30 days, so you're right.
It doesn't matter what month
So I
it
mean, yeah, at the end of the day,
You will
just,
be,
And I just wanted
Just
to
that.
tell you last time that Carrie Johnson gave you an untruth. She said she was denied a building permit, and she was absolutely not denied a building permit. She applied for it on December 23rd, and all the departments hadn't signed off on it. So she has not been denied a building permit.
Has she properly applied?
It hadn't been 30 days. She applied on December 23rd. She said she was denied and she wasn't denied.
I
She
think
was
it's
told
gonna
it
be-
would not be issued because of the tech issue.
That's what I thought. She said.
But it
Is
wasn't
that town
denied.
council? Town council said that, I think.
Excuse me?
I just don't understand why you wouldn't just do it when somebody applies for a permit. If it's not a complete application, it doesn't fly anyways. You guys win. But why put the pressure on Bob? I guarantee you, people are gonna come in the first week in April,
Well,
second
you
week
know,
in April, and they're gonna be
They've
looking for.
applied, even if it's incomplete, they've applied, right? So that's the wrong
Bob has reviewed this,
You
Mike.
received-
Received a complete application. How's that?
Bob
Better.
has reviewed this and wants to have it when the building permit is issued.
And that's his decision to make.
So should it read building permit issued before
Yes.
April 15th?
That's what we decided.
All right,
Because
fine.
this is confusing. I read this as saying you had building permit, the building department had to receive it by April, which is what I thought you were gonna do. So I think this language, the way it stands here is confusing. I don't have a problem saying, well, I heard. Because when's the town meeting? I thought we were supposed to line this up with the town.
The town meeting is
Yes.
April
Yeah.
13th and April 14th. So I tried to put this, like you said, it's one day after theoretically town meeting should end. So the vote should have occurred at town meeting.
I mean, a lot of people won't know about this changing until town meeting.
Well,
Yeah, we don't care about
no, this has been, that's not true. That's not true. And I really wish
Do it the
people
right
would say,
way.
What is the right way in your mind?
it. You should file a complete application. If the complete application is in, you should be all set. Bob can take what time he needs in order to issue the permit. It's only gonna be here for 3 more months anyways. Now we deal with a different inspector, okay? So, and it's the people in, I'm not even doing, this isn't even for me. This is for the people that don't know what's going on. If they have their application in, they should be protected. And I think I was the one that brought it up originally in the first go-around of the meeting. And that's why I apologize for not being here at the last one, but I just strongly believe if somebody goes through and designs a house and they're ready to go and they file their application, it's complete, then they should be protected against this. It's
But
pretty
that's
simple.
not how the zoning bylaw works, and you know that. That's how, when you change zoning.
already you're too late, right?
You're
If
right.
you wanna
you're
file
already
today,
too
you're
late.
too late,
This is
unless
not-
we change it.
And
Yeah.
this is not the first time we've been talking about this. We've been
Right.
talking
So
about zoning.
More, wouldn't there?
We've been talking about zoning since the fall.
so when you say that people don't know that,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You got 8 of us in the room.
well, Mr.
Out of 17,000 residents, you
Well,
don't think
Mr.
it's gonna be a
Gilbert, what,
problem?
how would you like me to?
Thank you.
Pretty sure they're not all
19
voters.
Yeah,
But we cannot, you need to, it's not up to us to make sure, you need to pay attention to what's happening in the town. And I know that we don't have a paper, and I don't wanna hear that anymore. But if you are interested in this, and you're looking to build a house, and you have some kind of interest in what's happening in the town, our only form of communication is on that webpage right now, that's all we can do. And we put everything up there, and everything is available the second we talk about it. All of this stuff has been there several months.
No, it has not been there for several
No.
it
months.
hasn't.
It's been there since we posted. We've
Okay.
been talking about it in public meetings. And it's been agenda items, zoning for 2026 annual town meeting. But it's put up the day we post, and it's put on the website.
Okay. Yes, sir, George.
Greg Morse, 167 Tack Factory Pond Drive. This section, aside from decks, also talks about patios, walkways, and driveways, and drainage for those cannot leave the property. Most people have a walkway from their front door, maybe out to the mailbox, or they have a driveway from their garage sloping toward the street. You can't contain all of the drainage on the site. We already have a stormwater bylaw which addresses drainage. However slight it might be, if you have a driveway that pitches to the street, it's impossible to comply with this regulation. Driveways physically have to cross the lot line. You could strike the whole driveway section. I urge you to strike the whole drainage sentence, as again, you already have a stormwater bylaw to address any stormwater.
Well, this isn't addressing those existing, right? This is new construction, right?
If someone's redoing a driveway, for example, this year doesn't allow for it.
It's not as simple as it seems.
It never is. It's like a bunch of feathers.
Be cautious.
None of that
But at
first,
the same time, if they're redoing a driveway, it shouldn't allow them to dump more water.
might not necessarily dump more water, but you can't create it so that
This
you're.
doesn't say that either, right? So I mean.
Yeah.
You know,
It doesn't.
They shouldn't increase the runoff from what they presently have is probably the terminology that you might be looking for.
and I think you have to differentiate between those that are existing and those that are new.
Even on a new construction site where we might do a stormwater permit for an overall of the site, the design point might be the road out in front of it. Oftentimes we'll pick up 80% of the driveway or so as you come up onto a site, because that's what we can capture. But we'll oftentimes let the apron of the driveway go out to the street, and that fully complies with your stormwater bylaw, as we're not increasing runoff to the street. This says you can't send anything to the street. Every driveway in town constructed under how this is worded would have to come off the street at a negative edge, and that's not realistic. I brought this up at the last meeting.
Well, so shall it say, provided that drainage does not increase?
Runoff.
Urge you to eliminate it entirely. You have a stormwater bylaw which addresses runoff.
And everybody abides by that.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Well, what's the difference? They won't abide by this either.
Well, there you go.
So why have it in? You already got it once.
What do you want to do for it? I mean, do you want to change the language? We put the drainage part in because the board wanted
Yeah,
the
we want
drainage
this
part
part
in.
So if I'm listening to our contractors, they don't want it to increase. Says they're telling me that water goes on street area.
So do you want to say, provided that runoff from such development does not increase from the property?
I could live with that.
That's the same thing that the other bylaw says.
Excuse me?
Increase. At a minimum, that's okay. You probably don't need it, but if you want to put it in, that was just better.
All right.
Let's not try to.
Right, really.
Carl, Eugene, what do you think?
What I just said, yeah, it's, I'm fine saying it shall not increase, right?
Yeah. Anybody else in the audience? Yes, sir.
Again, Gregory Morse, additional comments on this. Allowing people that are elevating houses for FEMA compliance, this doesn't allow them to add steps to their existing deck.
Yes, it
Yes,
does.
it does.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
The building commissioner disagrees with you on that.
Oh,
He
okay,
says it does not increase the non-conformity, because if there are stairs there, they have to put additional stairs in, that's not increasing the non-conformity, because it's still a flight of stairs. We don't expect people to jump from pre-existing speed.
I agree. So a set of stairs off the front of the house, that's say 20 feet from the front lot line in a 30-foot zoning district. Now I have to go up an additional 4 feet of stairs. I need to extend those stairs out, they're gonna become closer to the front lot line. That's not increasing the non-conformity, I believe it is. But if it's not, I'm comfortable with that.
You just add stairs are exempt.
That's part of the.
On the stairs,
You know,
no.
when the building commissioner and I talked about this, we felt that there was few and far instances where that this would be a problem. And they can go seek relief from the zoning board of appeals.
You know that we look at every project individually, and you come to us if you have a problem, and you come for words or whatever it is that you need. But this is a general overall.
It doesn't prohibit a pre-existing non-conforming structure from doing something. You just can't make it more non-conforming. And that's already the state law.
Why are you laughing, Mr. Bjorkman?
I could just
That's
see,
share
I
with
could
the
see it
class.
happen. It is the clear intention of this board, when this bylaw goes through, if anybody has to increase the stairs on their property, it's not gonna be an increase of the non-conforming nature. This is the public hearing, I'd like to hear the board say that to the public. You can change your stairs, it's not gonna increase the non-conforming nature.
No, that's not what they
We don't
said.
think-
That's not what they said. That's not what they said. He said, add more stairs up. He didn't say change the stairs.
You're gonna add them up, you're gonna add them down. I mean, if the house is going up, the stairs are going down. Doesn't matter, if there are more stairs involved, it's a larger area for the stairs. It's a larger footprint once you add stairs. Do you agree with that? More stairs, more area. Yeah, simple, yes, no?
Then
More
maybe
stairs, more area.
Maybe you have to have a landing.
Potentially,
Maybe.
yes.
That would almost be like a little patio, which has to meet
How would you
setbacks.
just stop?
Well, you're changing one section, but you're not looking at how it relates to the other sections. This clearly is going to create an issue with stairs. I don't care if Bob says it, I don't care, it's going to create an issue. Stairs are exempt. Why not just say that?
Because stairs are not exempt.
Because we end up with stairs that are right on the property
So
line.
people will be
Don't
required to go
want
in
that.
and get a variance. If their stairs meet the setback now, and they're not gonna meet the setback after, are they gonna be required to get a variance under the zoning of the town of Scituate?
Potentially.
There you go.
You just
I don't know how many
can't build
variances
a
been granted in
new
43 years.
non-conforming structure or repair rebuild in such a way that increases the non-conformity.
No, so if they meet it now and they have to raise the house and they conform now and they don't conform after, that's a variance. As long as you guys understand that you're doing that to the
And the
people,
building commissioner thought that would be few and far between. If you want me to re-talk to the building commissioner, I'd be happy to re-talk to the building
Please,
commissioner.
and then,
We have to continue this again then, if you want me to re-talk and make sure the building commissioner comes to the next meeting,
yes,
then I will ask for that.
please.
And Ms. Lambert, we do have a virtual hands raised if you are taking more.
Who's got their hand raised?
That's you are taking comment. Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Chung, you should be able to unmute yourself. Just your name, address. Go ahead with your comment. Thank you so much.
Okay. My name is Stephen Chung. I'm an architect from Boston and working with a client. She's from Cohasset. She purchased 72 Glades. So when you mentioned, someone had mentioned, like, how would we know about this? I mean, I'm not from here and she's not living there. So this is all quite new to me and only found out because we're working with Morris Engineering. So this, just very quickly, and I don't want to be so detailed, but in any case, you mentioned, like, who does this affect? I mean, it affects us because this is a house that was granted a special permit. It passed through ZBA in August of 2023. It was a house that burned down. The architect proposed to rebuild the existing structure from 2,300 square feet to 3,500 square feet. That was passed through zoning, the ZBA, and so forth and so on. And then the next year, the Chajakras, that original client, they sold this property with the plans to Valia Marsden. Pretty expensive. She retained me and we began working on the house. And so now we're going through this process, and now suddenly, if we don't, it seems that if we don't submit these plans by, not only submit, if we don't have these plans approved, meaning sent to you and then approved by April of whatever, April 15th or whatever, yeah, April 15th, then basically we're out of luck. And so that seems, I don't know, I'm not part of Scituate, but that seems pretty unfair. We're working very hard to kind of, and I'll tell you what the little bit of it, not delay, but the house that was designed was a lot larger than what was there originally. And so Ms. Marsden is a single person that we're trying to sort of downsize the house a little bit. Certainly not going to increase the nonconformities that were granted in the ZBA. but taking a little bit of time, we're working on it, but now suddenly, we were told that you have to, well, I mean, it seems now we have a couple of months, but so I think that's if you're sort of wondering about far and few between. I mean, this is substantially affects, I mean, this is a very large investment in a property that she thought that she could build a certain size house. And now suddenly maybe we can't. So I'm just a little alarmed and just want to know are we grandfathered? I mean, I don't think we'll be much delayed, but I mean, every time I submit plans, it's not up to me. Sometimes the building department has an issue or a question and it goes back and it takes an extra couple of weeks or a month. And now suddenly it's past April 15th and we're out. So the question about issuing, I thought was a really good question, issuing versus applying. I think applying seems to me in good faith, it seems like better language. At least it would catch some of the people and give us more time to try to get all the documents in. So anyway, I appreciate you listening, but I mean, I just wanted to kind of speak on behalf of my client and just really kind of talk about a real situation, and again, a very expensive proposition that we had no awareness of.
So I'm gonna read you an email from town council, okay? This does not say that you can't repair or rebuild a non-conforming structure. It says you can't build a new non-conforming structure or repair, rebuild in such a way that increases the non-conformity. Basically, the law as it already exists.
Okay, but this is a house that first burned down, then went through a ZBA process that was approved. So a new house was approved. It's the lot is non-conforming. All the setbacks are non-conforming. Nevertheless, I guess it went back and forth. And I think actually Mr. Morse presented it and unanimously the board approved it in 2020, late 2023. So are we able to build that house? Are we okay to sort of move ahead with the house that was approved by ZBA?
Do you have a permit?
We don't have a permit because, as I explained, we are in the process of now slightly downsizing the house just to make it a little bit smaller. But we're in that process. We're working towards it. But suddenly there's a lot of pressure because, we're just learning about this only a week or two ago. So.
How I read your comment is that we're not gonna let any houses be built after April 15th, and that's not
true.
And that's not true.
That's not true.
What?
That's not his comments.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed the question. What was the question?
So you already have plans into the ZBA that were approved. Mr. Morse, can you speak to this?
The plans were approved at least a year, maybe 2 years ago, to rebuild this house.
Yep,
The new
2023.
owner of the property wants to build a smaller house there, but they're just getting going with new architectural plans to downsize. And given that we don't even have the architectural plans done at this point in time, it would be impossible for her to apply to the zoning board and then the conservation commission and have a building permit application or have a building permit in hand by that April 15th deadline. So.
But I'm confused in that this has to do
They
with,
have approval to do this 2 years.
Right, they already have an approval.
they have an approval just to
So
make
they're
it
waiting for 6
smaller.
years, 10 years. I mean,
That's all. But the thing
I
is,
mean,
this
this
is,
is gonna happen to whoever.
right,
At whatever point.
I think that this probably will go forward. This has to do with decks and that type of thing, not a house.
So these oceanfront houses relied greatly on having decks. There were decks all along the seawalls.
I know.
This house in particular is down in Mayan, right on Mayan.
I know
Beach.
exactly where it is.
You're not gonna be able to have that deck, because now there's a 20-foot rear yard setback from the rear lot line in this scenario. You're gonna have that all along Surfside and Oceanside, any oceanfront home.
Not to
This
mention
isn't-
side setbacks as well.
as well as side setbacks. The last point I again brought up at the last meeting, I was hoping the board would consider it, although I don't think any consideration has been done, is would you consider going to at least half the setback with a deck? The town of Marshfield implements that, especially, and where this really impacts houses isn't gonna be in the Scituate R2 and R1 district. It's solely in the R3, the Sand Hills, in the FEMA flood zones where you have these tight lots, allowing you to go to half the setback,
I just
allows
don't,
access around.
I understand what you're saying, Rick, I just don't want to see these stairs right on the property line.
That would fix this problem.
That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Is fix this problem.
Go to half the setback rather than nothing in the setback.
As I said, I talked about that scenario with the building commissioner, and he did not want to go there. Because it's creating another set, and that opens a different can of worms. I can re-talk to him about that.
We need to get this squared away.
And,
And we
and,
have
and
to,
for the record, I'm sorry, do you mind? So for the record, if we can, really, we can't meet this deadline that suddenly has been, imposed upon us. And, that the house, that property was purchased from another person that had went through the process, with a 3,500 square foot house. And now we can't build that house. That property is worth substantially less than what it was acquired for.
But you can build the house.
No, we cannot build a house.
Why?
You say we can build a house. First of all, we have zoning. We don't have a building permit. So we have to get the building permit within the next couple. I'm sorry. We have to get the building permit in the next couple of months, and meaning in hand as opposed to just applying for it. And if we don't get that permit, then it's too bad for us. We lose, right? So that's a substantial damage to the owner.
Okay, Mr. Bjork, can you explain that to me?
Two quick things. He can build a house there.
yes,
I believe what he's trying to tell you is he can't build a house that they're designing because they wanna have the decks. And the decks are now not gonna be allowed, and it would change the design of the house itself. I'm assuming that's what he said.
Yeah, and also this, Mr. Morris knows the lot very well and the dimensions. It's quite a tight little lot. I mean, it's very small and very tight, and the adjoining adjacent lot, they're building houses that are sort of filling up their properties, and we're not doing as much. But nevertheless, if we had to conform to all the new zoning, we would have a tiny little house, a tiny house, a third of what we can build right now. So I don't know if Mr. Morris, you can sort of speak to that, but reinforce that.
There were 5 houses there.
Right.
There were
right.
5 houses there when they burnt out.
Right. Exactly. And so
And
we're going
I mean right on top of each other. There
No.
wasn't 3
Yeah.
feet between those
No,
houses.
I understand. And I know that everyone, the other architects that are involved with the other houses
Yeah.
they know, everyone knows what they're doing with the fire codes and all of that and raising it up and all of that's great. And we're doing the same. And so we're just right in the middle of the process. And then it just threw us for a loop here. So we want to move ahead. And I just want to try to understand all the information. And it sounds like it's kind of a race to get our plans in, let's say, I don't know, you said 30 days. So March 15th. And then the hope that there's nothing wrong, and then we can get a permit issued by April 15th, and then we're okay. Is that what sort of I'm understanding?
Yes.
And then, Mr. Morris, is that possible given your experience with this lot and the requirements? Do you think we need to go back to ZBA or just move ahead with the plans and try to get them in?
We shouldn't be talking about specific lots here.
I understand, but
you understand that this, technically, the deadline, the date that the first advertisement is when the zoning takes effect, if it passes at town meeting. The board has already voted, well, they haven't voted, but they asked to, see a provision to extend it. And that's what this is presenting. So another option is, board, do you want to extend it beyond April 15th?
I mean, just very respectfully, just a last comment with the questions that Mr. Morris are asking and some of the abutters are asking. It doesn't seem like all the language is perfectly worked out yet. It seems like it could be helpful just to kind of iron out and make sure that all of these conditions are met, and then everyone's understanding what these issues are. I mean, I got this message on Christmas Day, so I don't know. It just seems. I understand your focus and your goal, and we're trying very hard to make a new make a new house, replace something that was burned down, do it by code, and actually trying to make it a little bit smaller than what was approved. But nevertheless, we're just trying to, rebuild this part of the site. If we can't get the zoning relief, the person that would buy this property next, whatever, they can't build anything really there. It's too tiny a lot, and the setbacks would make the house really just like a little phone booth. Really, I mean, if you look at the setback, the site. So anyway, I'll stop. But thank you for listening.
I would say that, yes, Mr. Gilbert.
If I misspoke about something, I'm gonna correct myself, and Karen will understand this, okay? And you said your concern is the steps going right out to the edge of the street,
No, not to the street,
or wherever, okay?
the sidewalks.
Into the setbacks, okay. So section 620.4C. Okay, nothing herein shall prevent the projection of cornices, eaves not extending 18 inches in width, steps, okay, unroofed porches, bulkheads, or windowsills into any required yard or other open space. So Karen, I misspoke. Stairs are allowed to go right to the property line right now. Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm saying, I misspoke, okay? So that section is gonna allow anybody to put stairs right to the property line anywhere they want on their property. It's exempt. Okay?
That's why
So-
we're changing, that's why we're putting in D.
So if the exemption is in there for the stairs, are you removing that exemption in that section C? So you're exempt from whatever you do. All these bylaws mesh together.
What we're trying to do, I think, other height of no more than 30 inches above the average, they can go to within so many feet of, in the setback.
The steps can go anywhere.
The steps, as long as they're not on the property line.
It's exempt now in section C. Are you changing section C? Okay, so steps can still, no matter what you do, go right up to the property line. Trying to help you guys here. I like the exemption. If it's access stairs to a house and they have to be extended, that's fine.
That's what
And
I'm
again, if
talking
Karen and
about.
Bob talked about it, I'm sure this is the section that Bob talked about. Bob probably said, yes, you can add stairs in, it's not gonna be a problem. So it's gonna be exempt from what you're doing, from your change in the bylaw right now. So I think Greg probably would agree with that, reading that section. So you can add stairs to a house that has to be elevated. Okay? Again, so that's not.
Might need a Sherpa to get up.
Chair
Not
Lambert,
even if it doesn't have to be elevated, just they wanna add stairs.
I believe the minutes reflect that part of the discussion. This is it's revisiting topics that were
We've already
mentioned
discussed.
prior discussed.
So what does the board wanna do? Do you wanna continue this public hearing to the next meeting? That's gonna be when you have to close your public hearing.
And we have to invite Mr. Vogel, he's in the speaker.
I will ask him and, I will meet with Mr. Vogel again, and if a member of the board wants to be at my meeting with Mr. Vogel, I would highly encourage that.
Okay, right, we're gonna, so this will be continued.
Move to close to continue the public hearing till February 12th at 6:35 p.m. for section 620.4 only.
There's a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is to be continued. Mr. Chung, we're gonna continue this.
All right. Now,
That can be, another one. Okay, so now we're gonna do the continued public hearing to amend the stormwater general bylaw.
For a very specific section, not the whole.
Not the whole thing, it was section 4A, 1 and 1 and 2.
Sorry.
And for,
Oh,
All right, so as the board is taking comment, you have been changing things, listening to the public and changing things. So at the last time, we talked about, new development. And Mr. Moore said perhaps we could put in a clause that exempts certain things from, like monitoring wells and test pits. So that's what I've done. I've done it in two different ways. And you only need to pick one. We put it under 4A1. And our consultant Horsley Wynn, our MS4 consultant at Horsley Wynn suggested perhaps it should be under exemptions. So that's the green wording, number 9 that I did. And I'm gonna read that. Activities during new development or redevelopment that are exempt include those necessary for planning and design purposes. For instance, installation of monitoring wells, exploratory borings, sediment sampling, and surveying and percolation tests for septic drainage systems that are conducted in such a way as to not cause a nuisance, permanently alter or release untreated surface flow from the site. Site test locations shall be restored to their previous condition. This does not relieve any requirements under the Wetlands Protection Act. This does not apply to land disturbance of 40,000 square feet or more of land disturbance.
What's the other line?
They're always the same, aren't they?
No, in here, you skipped over only that do not otherwise involve. There's third section.
What last thing over?
On number 9,
Yeah.
it says after, in the second line, it says after purpose. Only that do not otherwise involve construction or disturbance activities. You didn't read
I
that
think
piece?
that's to be struck.
No, but it shows as residence.
Yeah, it's hard to follow that.
It's a different color.
There's two different colors and,
This is not the version I should be looking.
No, it is, it's right up here on the screen.
Yeah, it's hard to follow. That's not what she read.
I read the wrong version,
She read
I'm
that.
sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to
Oh, I'm
follow
supposed
what
to be
I'm
looking at
reading.
that.
Yes. So we can jump down one last, we're back, okay.
Obviously, that's the purpose of these meetings, is to get through this stuff, so I appreciate that.
I read the wrong version, I'm sorry, I'm a little overworked lately.
That's what you read is what this says.
What the green stuff is what we want.
The dark
This is more
greens.
needs.
All right, everything else comes out. It's up there, other than the green.
The green is a new section, it's added in,
Two different color greens.
and it's, then you don't do the blue wording under 4A1.
Get rid of that, and put it in.
I think this is Nick from Horsley Witten. I think that the two shades of green, the lighter shade of green, I believe, are just additional wording clarifications that we provided to Karen
Right.
that shouldn't change any meaning. The intention is just to
Doesn't change.
reflect the conversation and the nuance that was discussed at the last meeting. So I believe everything under 9 that is in either dark green or light green should be treated equally. It's just a different version of additional clarifications that we provided in the light green. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Karen.
And this
No,
is,
that's correct.
and this is just
To address the exemption that Mr. Morse was looking for.
right, and it,
So could you, I'm sorry, but could you reread what I just want my, I can't see that, so. So we're going activities during new development and redevelopment.
I neglected to make myself a copy, so no, I cannot read
Well,
it.
if you can read that, tell me what you got.
I can read it out loud, but oh,
Yeah,
there
we
it is.
can.
Activities during new development or redevelopment that are exempt include those necessary for planning and design purposes only that do not otherwise involve construction or disturbance activities.
Yeah.
For instance, installation of monitoring wells, exploratory borings, sediment sampling, and survey and perk tests for septic drainage system. Such activities shall only be exempt when they are conducted in such a way as to not cause a nuisance, permanently alter or release untreated surface flow from the site. Site test locations shall be restored to their previous condition. This exemption does not relieve any requirements under the Wetlands Protection Act. This exemption does not apply to land disturbance of 40,000 square feet or more of land disturbance.
Okay, so it was what I had.
Yes,
Maybe
it's what we
you were
had.
reading.
Yeah,
Okay.
But it should be dated the 21st.
No, this is the right one.
so we're gonna put this one in instead of the other one.
Instead of the blue version, so
Right.
you would keep,
Yeah.
you would keep you would keep the red A,
Right,
but then you have the exemption that was asked for.
okay,
So we agreed to do, I think the exemption,
which is what Mr.
as
Moore
it agreed,
It does,
makes
It does.
sense.
alright, you're fine.
okay, so,
I also changed.
Yeah.
I also changed the other wording that you previously said in the blue and number C1. You know, professional land surveyor, et cetera.
Oh.
I did that word, you know, because you all agreed that
Yes, to go in, required to be a professional land surveyor registered.
I did not change anything else.
No, we added to that to clarify everything.
so those, only the two changes in the entire stormwater,
Right, I
Okay.
did not change anything else. It
okay,
was brought up last time that, you know, perhaps we should reconsider our applicability. I looked at this, I discussed it with Horsley Witten. You know, we can't think of a fair way to do it. So an increase in impervious of 25% seems to be a fair way across all your 3 zoning districts. You know, we're trying to keep fair to all the zoning districts. You know, I've reviewed the stormwater permits today. You have the most stormwater permits in the R2 district. And R1 and R3 are about the same.
you look pensive.
Of all the stormwater permits I've done, the R2 district and this 25% impervious increase thing is the thing that has caused me the most grief. I honestly think it's the most unfair portion of the stormwater bylaw with respect to people that have an existing house. It penalizes the people with the smallest house. I wanna go over my sample, just one, to fully understand it.
Mr. Moore, I totally understand what you're saying, and Karen and I have talked extensively about this. We've been trying to figure this out since 2018. We are concerned about water quality in the whole town. So if you take every house in the R2 district and decide that you're gonna expand, we're gonna have a water runoff. So you need to have a stormwater permit, because a big house or a little house all creates runoff. And we need to treat everything equally. And I know that you're gonna tell me that a big house has more money or whatever, that is not that has nothing to do with us. That has to do with the client and whoever is doing the contract work. There is no easy way for us to do this except one for all, or that's it. We have to have one bylaw that covers the entire town. We've talked this together for years and years and years, and it's time to just, what Mr. Wimbledon said, we have already plowed that ground.
We have,
We have.
many times.
I feel like I was cut off. I'd like to just finish my statement, because what I heard from you is that everyone should be treated equally. I 100% agree we need to take care of our stormwater in town, and this is where our citizens aren't being treated equally. Okay? If we're in the R2 district, and we have a small house, a 24 by 40 foot house, and we have an existing driveway that's 20 by 30, that means this house is 1,560 square feet. They wanna have a 2-car garage, 24 by 24. Now their house size is gonna be, the garage, 576 square feet, plus the house at 960, they're gonna come in at 2,136 square feet. That represents a 36.9% increase on this site. They need a stormwater permit. It's gonna cost them, whatever it costs them, 20 to 30 grand. It's gonna cost them a stormwater. Their next door neighbor, same size house in the R2, same lot, 20,000 square feet. They have a little bit bigger house. Their house is 1,800 square feet. They also have a patio that's 10 by 20. Their driveway is a 3-wide driveway. It's 40 by 20. They have a shed out in their backyard, so they have 3,400 square feet existing. They decide they want to have the same exact garage, 24 by 24. They're also going to put in one of these pools in their backyard, 10 by 16. They're adding 736 square feet. So now their site has 4,136. That's only a 20% increase. They don't require any stormwater whatsoever, yet they now have twice as much stormwater as their neighbor that had to do a stormwater. Why aren't we capturing that lot that has more stormwater and more impervious on it? We're penalizing the small house. We have been looking at this for a very long time. And at first, when we were meeting, you had a sit down with planning board, conservation, builders, developers, engineers. And it was a roundtable discussion, and we were trying to figure out, do we put different numbers in for the different districts? Do we make different thresholds? That hasn't happened in over 10 years at this point. It has not been a two-way discussion. This is the two-way discussion, your public hearing. So that's why I appreciate you hearing this. It's really not fair to those small houses. I urge the planning board to fix this issue. It's been an issue since day one. We can do something about it.
All right, so here's my rebuttal. What's a small house? Who's gonna determine what a small house on a small lot is? A 20,000 square foot lot is not small. Half of your town is in the R2 and R3 district, less than 20,000 square feet or less. Rain still falls wherever it falls. You know, it's, you have to put some common sense somewhere. You know, there was talk in 2016, they sat down, I wasn't involved in that. But, you know, they came up with the 2016 bylaw. I provided you breakdown of what happened in 2008, what happened in 2016, etc. You know, we have to do something, we have to regulate what we see as fair.
Does that sound fair? I have a question though. And I know we talked about this, but maybe I still don't understand it. So are you looking at a 25% increase of impervious?
Excuse me, Nick is online, could you just speak louder so we can hear, please?
Is this, are we basing the increase based on what the person already has there on the property? Or are we basing it on the whole lot?
We're basing it on an increase from existing conditions
So that's, so,
across the board for every zoning district.
so what it sounds like he's saying, I could be wrong about this, so you can correct me, that you could increase your impervious less than your neighbor, but you're gonna have to get a stormwater because you had less to begin with. Is that right?
Yes.
On the same size lot.
So why isn't that, why are we not basing it on the size of the lot, and once you go over a certain amount of impervious, then you take stormwater? Is that?
Because that's not how the town chose to do it. The town chose to go this way, starting in 2008. That's how the town saw it fairest for everybody in the town of Scituate.
I don't remember. How would you change it? What would you make it?
I don't know what the exact number is, but I would say maybe if you can increase your impervious number, and if your resultant lot coverage is still less than 20% of the lot in the R2 district, you don't need a stormwater.
Yeah, you're singling out the R2 district, you can't
And
single out.
that's just the example that I
You
was
you were
using.
talking about the R2 district. that's
Let's
fine.
use the R3 district then, or the R1 district, it would be a different number. But I think you have to set a minimum threshold that once you get over 20% lot coverage or 15% lot coverage, yeah, you trigger that permit if you're doing the increase. But if you're going up 39% in your impervious and you're still under 10% lot coverage in your district, to me, that doesn't seem like it would trigger a stormwater permit. And certainly under any MS4 requirements, because you're well less than 40,000 square feet. So it's not a threshold of any other regulatory agency other than this one.
The other option is to leave the wording exactly as it was, where most of the changes are for MS4 and a few other things, and not even go there. Not touch the language in number 2. But there are some issues with the language in number 2, but you know, that would be the simplest solution, just keep it as we had it.
Can I make a suggestion? If it's something that really needs to be worked out to be fair to the people, Karen might be right, you should leave it the way it is right now, and bring it up at the next town meeting and see if we can really figure out what the right answer is to help people. and still take care of the stormwater?
We had talked, we had gone, and I remember sitting in on some of this stuff. And then we had COVID. And that just put the kibosh on everything. So maybe, I agree with Ken, let's just leave it the way it is. And then after town meeting, let's try this group again.
Yeah.
And come up with something that is not, that's meaningful and that works.
That's fair.
Okay, because we're not gonna resolve it here this evening, and you're right, but then again, life isn't fair, but I understand exactly what you're saying. So we can somehow come to a meeting of minds, then again, as we all know, nobody pays any attention to much of anything anyway. But we can do the best that we can.
Prior to COVID, what the developers were suggesting was unrealistic.
Okay, well,
I mean, so we're always going to have a disconnect on what the developers want
And
and
what-
protecting the town.
okay,
But
but
our interest is protecting the town.
as is my interest. So,
I just want to clarify if I can. The state has a certain regulation for us to take care of stormwater, okay? In the state, single-family homes are exempt from it. So don't say it's the developers that we're fighting against, okay? State is saying you don't have to do this, you don't have to have any stuff under an acre. You don't have to do anything. It's the town, okay? You guys, your predecessors, who chose to throw every lot that's in town into this stormwater. All we're trying to do is make it work for the people in town, because the engineers like Greg, Paul Marabito, not anymore, but Paul's done tons of them. They know what doesn't work, and they know what's not fair. And again, I appreciate Karen, we had these meetings, we met a number of times, and we're trying to figure out the right solution for something that is exempt from the state regulations. So, or again, we're not trying to throw everything away. We're just trying to make it fair for the people in Scituate, that's all. I'd appreciate it if you would do that, and we could keep working on it. That would work, I think. You just have to commit to it.
I'm committed to it.
Yeah, I guess the way I look at it is, we made this decision back in
2008.
2008. And I suspect the decision was made, we're never gonna fix the pre-existing conditions, right? What we're trying to do is address the management of stormwater in town, to manage our water quality in town, right? And so you can't fix what's already there, so we're starting from a clean slate of what everybody has right now, right? And then the bylaw was written that says if you have a significant increase over that, it's going to affect stormwater, right? And therefore, if it's large enough to affect stormwater, then it requires a permit. And it seems to me we're in the same place, that we're not changing any of that, right? We're just still fighting the same problem, right? Which is to manage stormwater for the town so that it doesn't affect the water quality in town and the environment in town. And so, there's always gonna be a point in time, somebody says this isn't fair, or that isn't fair, right? But I think that ship sailed back in 2008. That was the point. And that's the point here. If there's a way to do something that's an interim measure, because what you're trying to avoid is having to do a permit. That's what you're telling me.
No,
I think that's exactly what you're telling me.
not at all,
Yeah.
not at all.
Tell me what's unfair. Tell me what's unfair about that.
Unfair is somebody who gets around the stormwater bylaw, okay? The way that it's written, it happens. People get around
Right,
it,
but I mean-
people are gonna cheat, okay? They're gonna do whatever they can to try to get around it, because the cost to go through the stormwater bylaw properly is a lot of money, okay?
So that's what I'm getting to, right? This is an issue about spending money on a permit. This is what I hear you say, right? And that's kind of not our purview, right? What we're looking at is saying, how do we set up rules and regulations to manage stormwater, right? It's already been set up. It was set up in 2008. We're just trying to manage that, right? If there's a different approach to permitting that's cheaper or whatever, I don't know what they are, right? And at the end of the day, we're not trying to regulate that, right? We don't have any control over how much Paul Marabito or anybody else charges anybody for any of this stuff, right? So, but the objective of the bylaw was to manage stormwater and water quality in town. And I think that should be our primary focus. If there are ways to do it more efficiently, then tell us what they are, but
And again, this is what we're trying to figure out, is how to do it fairly.
well, I think it's fair because this is the way it is, right? And this is fair to the town as a whole to manage water quality.
That's our job.
But I would also say the town are the people of the town.
Can you speak
With
up?
that-
The town is made up of the people of the town. So if we've got, somebody over here and they're getting screwed every time because their house is smaller, we gotta think about that. I mean, the town is the town, but who lives in the town? Because the people.
I understand
And
that.
that's why this goes to town.
That's what I'm
meeting
saying.
and they vote on it.
No, I know,
We
but
could have fixed that in 2008, right? We could have said something different in 2008, but I think the message was everybody has an existing condition. And we're gonna manage stormwater from that point in time going forward. So we're not fixing all the pre-existing conditions for everybody, right? We're just saying we're starting at this point and we're gonna put a standard approach in place for everybody. And that feels like what we did,
we
right?
change bylaws a lot because we realize that doesn't work, so sometimes.
I don't know. Why does it work?
Bylaws once, we've changed it in 2016, we've changed the regs.
Not this one, but we've gone through, we cleaned up a lot of little
We cleaned up,
bylaws since
we
I
did.
I
Okay,
wasn't
so
here
tell
in
me what
2000.
didn't work about it.
Well, he just went through the whole thing.
So did the water quality get worse? Or did it get better?
It's the way it's written.
I get that, but
Yeah.
tell me, I mean, our objective was to manage water quality, right? So did that get worse?
I mean,
I don't think so. Things actually got much better in town, for a number of reasons, including stormwater management, but also including how we manage, how Title V managed things and those kinds of things too. So that was the primary objective, right? The cost that affects one person versus the other, I don't know how we're gonna ever manage that, right?
No, we're not.
Yeah, I think we can manage what the requirements are to get a permit, right? And to be as efficient as we can at that, but,
I think that's the point
That's
they're
what
trying
we're
to
trying to
make.
make, yeah. That's the point I'm making.
That's the
Thank
point
you.
that-
So I'm not changing the standard, is what I'm saying. So that 50 or 100% more people can avoid worrying about stormwater altogether, right? That's not the objective here.
No.
Right.
It's not about avoiding it. It's about being fair to the people when they go for the additions on their houses.
Okay, so let me ask you
I don't
this.
know what that means.
So that's
Fair.
not,
That's not, again, that's not our objective, is to try to figure out what somebody's cost to build one house versus others.
We're not talking about
We
that.
don't have that, right? So why isn't the stormwater program as it's set up not fair? It's the same for everybody. Everybody has the same standard to hit.
In this sample here that I just gave you, the house that has to do the stormwater is mitigating 2,100 square feet of impervious. The house that doesn't have to do stormwater has 4,136. If we shift this bylaw, that 4,136 now has a stormwater permit because it's over 20% lot coverage. So you're shifting it to.
For that lot.
For that
specific
scenario,
That situation.
you could come up with 100 scenarios for
That's my
that
point,
scenario.
right? There's
So it
100
needs
of
to be
those.
discussed.
What does the
Yes.
distribution look like? And and at that point, that's why we're saying, at least that's why I'm saying, we set the standard, this is the standard. If there's a better standard to manage water quality in town, tell me what it is. What you're talking about is the standard to manage whether somebody applies for a permit.
for cost.
Right.
For example, in Cohasset, the standard is a 5,000 square foot increase. It doesn't matter if it's a percentage, it's a 5,000 square foot increase. And that's the same across all zoning districts.
Yeah, my house
So-
got flooded twice because of that, because it's.
So,
Yeah, I mean, again.
so
we-
there's
we've
a lot of different
already-
ideas that should be discussed. We can refine this to make it better for everyone that's involved.
Then I think that we should
should.
run around in circles here this evening. We're not gonna get anywhere. Let's go forward with what we have now. After town meeting, after the dust settles, we'll sit down and go through it again.
And so that's gonna mean you have to redo your regulations again, and you have to do your bylaw again.
Yeah, and it's not that easy.
It's not that easy.
No. And, I said, so we run up against this all the time. This stuff takes, as you know, months and months and months. And it isn't like we don't think about it, because we do think about it. But
Takes years.
the issue for me is that if you buy a small house, you buy a small house. And that's how that goes. And if you wanna put something in, then you have to save your money and you have to do that. I'm sorry, that's where I'm coming from. And if you buy a big house, you get a big house.
Affordability.
I mean, I talk about affordability, we don't have any little houses anymore, so
They rip them down.
I rip them down. It's
Hi,
here,
I'm
name your address, please.
Julie Johnson, 79 Grandview in Marshfield. I'm a residential designer in town. I think though, the word fair, I think might not be appropriate here because it's never gonna be fair. That instance isn't fair. The same size lot, two different size homes in impervious areas, far out of balance. But I think reasonable is a word we should be using for how do we make this work and be reasonable, that small lot, adding a garage, is having so much less impact on the water table and on the stormwater than that large house adding even more is having a huge impact on it. And they should be the ones that are regulated or have a stormwater, and this is backwards. They're getting relief from it, and the one that has got all the land, open land and impervious area is being forced to go through the stormwater process. So it's imbalanced, it needs to become a more reasonable measure.
I guess that's my point, and I appreciate your comment, but my point is that that's a retroactive sort of analysis. In 2008, all of those inefficiencies existed. They all exist, or many of them exist to this point in time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we sort of said that's the point in time. The current stormwater distribution across the entire R1, R2, R3 district looks like this, right? And it's all because somebody built a big house, somebody built a small house, and all that kind of stuff, right? So you said from that point on, right, we're gonna manage any additional impacts this way. And we weren't trying to pick winners and losers. We were just saying all of that stuff had already happened, right? And it exists today. And so the question is, how do we manage greater impact to the stormwater as a whole in town? And I understand that, like everybody has a house, right? And that they either pay for it or didn't. But we're not gonna fix all that. That's my point, right?
I don't think it's gonna there's no fix because everything's fluid. But aren't there learnings over these 10 years of how the world has developed, how our properties have developed, how our town is developing, that maybe it does need to be tweaked? And just tweaked, that it's not, they look at who qualifies for a stormwater permit based on who is really doing the most damage. Well, the bigger house on a smaller lot is obviously doing more damage than the smaller house with all that land.
Well, that's what I'm
And
saying
I
is
can tell you the
not
complaints
more
that we
damage,
get.
right? Additional damage. What we're talking about is additional, right? Because it's, in 2008, it was doing the same amount of stormwater damage, whatever it was, right? So this is just about the incremental change, right? Which is what this bylaw is addressing, is the incremental change.
So really what you're saying is if you have a bigger house and you do a bigger addition, that's gonna be better than the guy with a
I'm not
small house
saying
doing
any
a
of that.
medium,
I'm
or a
saying
small
that-
addition.
I'm saying that the bylaw was designed to address incremental change, basically, right? If you tell me that that needs to be 15%, so we get more people to be regulated under the stormwater permit, yeah. Tell me how we make that decision as opposed to what we have today. If there's real world information that says we picked the wrong percentage or something, then, and I'm not saying real world information about who has to pay for a permit, real world information about how does it impact water quality and stormwater management.
I think, well, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, it's maybe could be looked at as how much impervious is on a lot as opposed to how much someone is increasing their house by.
But that's my point, is in
That's my
2008, How many lots do we have in town? 8,000? Right, we have a lot, and they all have different sizes on
Right.
them. And that was the baseline from which we decided to manage stormwater. So we're not going back to houses and retroactively asking to manage stormwater. Because if they're already over 25%, do we go back to somebody and say,
No.
oh, you gotta
Only when
file
they're
it
coming
for a
in for
permit?
a new permit.
Exactly, right. So we're just trying to manage the incremental change from the original baseline.
I get that, but I think, I feel like there's a disconnect in this whole conversation. I don't
Would
know
you
what it-
speak up, please,
I
for
feel like there's
everyone?
a disconnect in this whole conversation. All I think they're saying is it could be based on a different way so that someone that is not really increasing the impervious on their lot that much, they're increasing it less than their neighbor. Their neighbor's the one who's increasing it, they're at 40% and this person's now at 15%, whatever it may be. The one with the less impervious is the one that's being brought in for the stormwater, when probably the person with the more impervious should be the one that's coming in for the stormwater.
And
Again,
then one
you're-
that probably
again,
needs the treatment.
That's what I'm saying, is that you're picking winners
Am
and
I
losers
saying that
based on
right?
pre-existing conditions, right?
It's exactly right. Exactly right. Your biggest problem is the impervious area, correct?
My biggest problem is managing stormwater and managing water quality.
Okay, so,
Right,
and that's
and
increased
we've
by
had all kinds
impervious
of
area.
plans, right, we've had people completely violate those, and neighbors being flooded out and all those kinds of things, right? And the stormwater program was intended to help manage all of that, right?
Correct.
And that's what we should do, and I'm not, you wanna have everybody get a permit? We could do that, right?
You can have everybody or nobody, it doesn't, it really isn't
And we
gonna make a
didn't
difference.
choose to do that in 2008, we chose to say, put a number in place, a percentage in place, and say it applies to everybody equally. Right?
And it does not work that way. What causes the problem is impervious area, correct? When you increase the impervious area, that's what creates the stormwater runoff, correct?
Over the existing condition.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay, so the guy that can increase
Everybody
it
who
more,
has an impervious condition.
correct.
if
So
they
the
have
guy that has a
25%,
bigger
it has an
impervious area can violate it more than the guy that doesn't. That's the unfair part.
We need to reestablish the working group, because there's a lot of ways to look at this. It's not gonna be resolved tonight, but
No, it's
the
not.
public hearing is when we get the voice, because we haven't been asked about stormwater for years now. This is our chance to say,
I
if it's
appreciate all
coming
that.
back,
I
we
just,
appreciate it.
I think the one thing that I would not be in favor of is trying to regulate something so somebody doesn't have to pay for a permit versus somebody else, right? That's not the objective.
That's not
That's
their,
not the
that's not
motivation.
their
No,
motivation.
and it shouldn't be about the money, it should be
But
about.
that's what I
She said
keep
it
hearing.
last time.
It was all about the money last
You
time.
said it last time, that if you're gonna do a staking plan and it's 80%, you're gonna come in at 79%. All the permits right now we get 14,995, and your impervious increase is 24.9. So they are coming into, so they're avoiding a permit.
And now, those aren't the lots that we're talking.
Yes, they
Yes,
are. Yes, they are. You wanna know how many complaints we get about those lots in the R2 district? I'm gonna tell you, we get them. More than the R3.
Do you get them from the ones that are actually getting the stormwater permits or the ones that aren't?
From the ones who aren't getting stormwater
Bingo.
permits.
There you go, so the bigger
So
houses, you're
everybody
getting the
needs a
complaints, so you just answered the question. So, yes, don't
They
change
should
it right
have
now.
stormwater permit. They should have.
But they don't need to the way you have it written, that's what we're trying to tell you.
All right, can we move on, please?
Right,
So
but
it
you
sounds
understand,
like,
right?
sounds like the
Okay.
solution is everybody gets a permit.
Yeah,
That way we
everybody or
solve that
nobody.
problem.
Yeah, everybody or nobody.
That's not how other towns do it. I mean,
It's
other
not.
towns,
I know,
with
that's not how we did it.
that's not how we did it. We made a decision based on the information that we had at the time. And most of us weren't even here for that.
So now
I
what I'm
was.
hearing, what I'm hearing
And the
though is
information's
that
changed.
over the years, people are expanding, and we're getting more and more stormwater runoff.
people want their places to be desirable. They don't always realize that it's not practical to add additions that create more impervious area.
And they don't come to us for that, they go to a zoning relief.
Yeah, and
So
the ones
does
that
the
have the
board-
bigger houses can do an awful lot more without a permit.
Does
So
the board
it's-
wanna
it's-
continue
it's-
the public hearing
Yes.
to the next meeting on February 12th, or do you want, and I will put this number 2 exactly the way it was? And you wanna see it for next time?
I think we're gonna have to carry.
Okay, so then we could continue the public hearing to 6:45.
Second,
Second,
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
all right,
Thank you.
now we're doing this.
So is Nick Cohen, is it all right if he leaves the meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll continue the conversation.
Oh, my gosh. Okay,
So now, next on our agenda is a vote on street acceptance for Carriage House Way.
and Colebrook?
That's it, yeah, cool. Curtis Estates.
Sean is here for that.
Sean is here. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Okay, I watched all the excitement.
Yeah. Right.
Totally.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Sean McCarthy. Work for the engineering division in the DPW. Tonight, I have my street acceptance hat on. This summer, we received a petition from the residents of Curtis Estates, which is Carriage House Way and Colebrook Circle. The street acceptance committee met couple of occasions to discuss the project. The engineering department performed a site review of the properties. We reviewed the last bond release memo from Merrill, who were the consulting engineers for the planning board at the time during the project. There were no waivers requested for the roadway construction. There are 16 homes in the subdivision on both of those roadways. And the street acceptance committee voted to move forward with the decision to make this development public. First step in that process is to bring it to the planning board
Any
for
discussion?
approval.
What was the original expectation when it was approved? Was there a discussion that this would ultimately become a public way, or was this
Well,
a discussion?
You can always make
Be a
clear
private road?
in the public hearings that doesn't get, you can't guarantee street acceptance.
No, but what was the expectation?
If the expectation was that it was hopefully gonna become a public road.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have some who've said no.
Yeah.
Basically said,
Right, because of the waivers, but this one didn't have that many.
that's what I wanted to know.
That many waivers.
Did they fix the crosswalks?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they did have the stormwater system inspected, and the catch basins cleaned very recently.
And so you're taking over, when you take over the public road, you're taking over the stormwater system too.
Not the system itself. They have a homeowners association,
Just the road.
Just the road.
just the roadway.
itself.
Yeah,
So
so
now
take
You're
care
not
of it.
managing any stormwater.
Not from that site, correct. And the DPW is also requesting that the 3 is decorative streetlights. They be maintained by the homeowners association as well. We're running into problems where the developer would choose the light, and then it was accepted, and then it would go out. We were trying to find bulbs for all different fixtures.
And I think that that's included in your HOA agreements, I think.
I
Mr.
don't
Smith, you
remember.
here?
It is, Bernard and 11
hi.
Karen Johnson. Yeah, we are fully aware that the lights will remain in our purview, in our.
And stormwater?
The stormwater, yes, the stormwater is not even close to the street.
Mm-hmm.
The city would take claim to the actual road and the 9 catch basins that are inside the road, not anything else.
All right, you
Move that the planning board recommend to the select board and 2026 annual town meeting that the streets and Carriage House Way and Holbrook Circle be laid out in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 82, Section 21 through 24, and be accepted by town meeting to become public ways in accordance with layout plans dated December 9th, 2024, stamped November 11th, 2025, subject to documentation being provided that there is full compliance with the operation and maintenance plan prior to town meeting.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
No, thank you.
All right, so to
Thank you.
that end, at the end of the meeting, you will be signing a bylaw that you sign first, then goes to the select board, and then ultimately has to be in the town clerk's office for 7 days prior to town meeting.
Okay,
So
then we
that
get right here.
you're aware of what we got with.
Okay, tell all your neighbors.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have an update on the monitoring service agreement, the 16 Old Country Way.
So 16 Old Country Way has one affordable local action unit, okay? And it was a rental unit. He's in the process of converting the rental unit to an ownership unit. I mean, it still has to be affordable, it still will be 80% AMI, but there was difficulties with tenant-owner relations, and so it's gonna be an ownership unit. And this is why we say on every project, you're supposed to be all rental or all ownership. He didn't do this, but now he found out the problem.
Let's work.
So, I mean, the agreement ultimately gets signed by, the applicant, it gets signed by the chair of the select board and the monitoring agent. Monitoring agent, in this case, is Metro West Collaborative. Okay. And we're supposed to report on all our lift units every year, and I'm still waiting for all my certifications to come in.
Okay.
So, this one, I think that it's, the monitoring agreement is for 30 years, but it's deed restricted in perpetuity.
Okay.
So that, because, people die and that kind of stuff, so you have to renew the monitoring service agreement every 30 years. Okay. But it's already deed restricted in perpetuity. So I just wanted to update you on that.
We have a read on that?
I don't think so.
We're all set. All right, old business, new business. Group minutes.
All right. I move the planning board minutes for January 8th, 2026.
Second. All in favor? Now, we were told that although we didn't spend any money, somebody can't use the typewriter.
We don't have our typewriter company anymore.
Did you charge her or not?
No, it was in-house. It was a courtesy.
No maintenance this year. We won't even maintain it. Okay, liaison report, you've been busy?
No,
No.
nothing going on.
I did listen to zoning. Masterclass. If you would like to call it that, but other than that, I did listen to the select board. That was the craziest select board hearing I've seen in a really long time. They're trying to do something with the Mordecai Lincoln House that's gonna be affordable, but we can't house you guys an affordable home. I don't understand that at all.
To be counted as affordable, it has to be approved under a program. So, we have some units in town, most of them all are asked to be under the LIP program, local action unit, where the monitoring agent gets involved. We have one project that was not approved that way, and thus those units can't be counted. So if it's not approved under some agreement, then it can't be counted as an affordable unit on the FHI.
Now, listen, you can put it in an application, you can be the caretaker up there for all 7 agents, they haven't decided what the job description is yet, so whatever. It was a very long meeting, and everybody's very confused. Wait.
Find another affordable place for somebody, that's a good thing.
Well, it is, but I have no idea what affordable is gonna be.
And what is affordability? I went to EDC
Yeah,
and there was, they were just updating and everything, and then there was a lot of talk on what sidewalks that they wanted. Somebody did a study on what sidewalks need to be repaired, what sidewalks they wanna put in. There was a lot of talk on sidewalks. My computer finally died, so that was the end of the meeting.
Was this in addition to the sidewalk upgrade plan that was been?
I think
This
this
is
is
an
the
unofficial-
sidewalk, this is the sidewalk upgrade.
This is an unofficial sidewalk committee that is making all these demands and requests.
Well, but there's already
There's a sidewalk
plan,
study,
right?
there's a sidewalk study that the next sidewalk I'm told is supposed to be Stockbridge Road.
still, okay.
Yeah.
And now, I mean,
Okay, would you
to
like to?
finish it, right, there's some sidewalk.
Get to the train, right?
Was that?
Get to the train.
Yeah, that last stretch.
That looks like, let's stop for sure. Okay, Karen,
We're busy.
we've been,
And
that's
we're
it,
gonna get very, very busy,
extremely busy. So I entertain this, about this motion, adjourn,
So I'm moving.
all in favor? Aye.